I got a topic.
All right, what we talking about?
Learning your team.
Learning your team.
Yes.
Wow. Learning your team, knowing your team.
Knowing your team, learning your team.
Okay, so we're going to do this in 2 parts.
Okay.
So, and you can interject however it's...
Yeah. Interject.
Why do I need to know my team? And then how do I learn my team?
Oh, wow. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Why do I need to know my team? I also often use the example in worship like it's an army. And, you have your marching orders and you have your whoever's in charge of the army. I don't know what those ranks are called. But as we're going out together, you got to know people's strengths. You got to know people's weaknesses. You know where to put who, where, and whatnot. And then be able to bring people together to accomplish said goal or whatever the mission is. So I think about that with worship. It's just like, hey, we're coming together. I need to know who's strong at what, who's this, so I can make sure you're in the right place and you're successful in whatever we're doing. So I know what your giftings are, so I can help you, push you in that. It's like, oh, we need someone who does this. That's where your strong suit. So we're gonna, versus if I don't know people's giftings, I'm either trying to get everyone to do something that they're not called to do or equipped to do, or they're learning to do. And this is singers and musicians in practicality. As a musician, you got to know the people you're playing with. Because if you're in a church or you're in a setting, you're gonna do a whole bunch of spontaneous stuff, and you got people who aren't comfortable with that. So I'm trying to do this with people who aren't comfortable with that. It's kind of like a recipe for
not goodness.
Not goodness, unless God just moves anyway, which He does.
Which He does.
Well, praise the Lord. I'm grateful. But just like if we're trying to go somewhere as a unit, we're trying to go somewhere as a team, I need to know who's equipped and ready to do different things. Yes. Case in point. So I'm in situations a lot where spontaneous is more the norm, and they just want to randomly do different songs, and they'd be like, "Can we do this song?" And the first thing I do is I do a quick look at my team. I need to see who's on. Who's playing what? To see if we can go there. If not, y'all might need to go ahead and do that acapella.
Or just the voices.
Or just not at all. Or not. And even just like practically knowing your team. If I know that most of my musicians read music, then me calling out numbers may not be the best way to get them to play along. Or if I have musicians who don't know the number system, then I gotta call out letters. But I need to know who does what so that I can do. So that's my first thought on knowing your team. Go ahead. Anything?
Honestly, no. I think you said it all. I mean, I think if you were to just summarize it, I think to execution and growth. Why do you need to know your team? Because you need to know what you can execute, how you can execute it. And secondly, is why do you need to know your team? Is so you can know how your team can grow. You need to know what your weaknesses are. You need to know what your strengths are. Execute, grow.
Yeah. And if you're leading worship, you need to know your team, especially if you want to do like
talk about it.
You want to do
come on.
You want to do like all this cool, creative, spontaneous stuff.
I'm in the organ right now because you're preaching.
And your singers don't know, or they've never flowed with you, then you wonder why they're not jumping in because they don't know. So you got to know who you can do that with. You got musicians. I'm gonna do this song we didn't practice, but I heard it on the radio. You should be able to pick it up. You got to know who's playing,
or not just know your team. Just know the team. Because you could be a person, yes, you have your own team, but let's say maybe you want to be a person who travels and leads worship.
Yeah.
Your team is not the team that you're going whatever team you got at home is probably not the same team as wherever you're going.
Yeah.
And so you need to know, you need to know the team. And just throw that out there too.
Yeah.
Just like what you just said.
Yeah.
Like, if you can throw out numbers at your team at home, maybe you go to church and
You can't. Yeah.
you can't do that. You just need to know.
Yeah. I remember there was one time I was playing for someone, worship leader, and they said, "Do you know this song?" I said, "No, I don't." They said, "It's fine. We're gonna do it anyway." And I was like,
I know. I'm sorry. No, I
"Don't." I wasn't. That's not. I really did not know. And you want me to support you?
Yeah.
So now we're going back to that army. You want me to support you in this venture, and I'm telling you, you know what? I can't. I'm sorry. I don't know.
And it's healthy. It's healthy because in that case, if you don't know your team, and let's use that example. Let's say that happens multiple times. Then your team might feel like, listen, you don't even value the level that I'm already at because you're trying to make me do all this extra stuff. Now I'm stressed out. Back to another video we did. Now their confidence is all over the place because they know they can't do it, but now they're being forced into it because you're not taking the time to get to know where they're at and what they can execute and where they need to grow.
And on a random practical note, most musicians don't like not sounding good or not playing well. So they want to do it well.
Yes.
Singers want to sing well.
Yes.
And you put them in situations where they already told you it's not going to go well. You're like, well, I'm going to do it anyway. Just
it's very stressful.
Yeah, so that person sang that song anyway.
Yes.
And it was like crickets.
Wow.
'Cause I didn't know it.
Did you play?
Crickets. I did one of my tricks. My tricks was
Where you
suspended fire.
yeah. It's a really good trick.
I just did that. Let me just hold this cord right here. So yes, knowing your team, very important question.
Yes.
How do you begin to learn your team?
You had a thought already.
I did.
Can feel it. I feel it.
Oh, how do you learn your team?
Yeah.
I think it's the rehearsals and the practicing, the playing together, learning songs together, and the more you do it, you'll learn people's strengths and weaknesses, and then you can practice those spontaneous moments. You can practice those flow moments, and then you can see how people respond in those moments versus putting them on the spot in a service or in front of people. And then knowing, hey, it's okay to make mistakes. Hey, we're working this out. Hey, it's not. Doesn't have to be perfect. This is so. I think practicing together, rehearsing together, worshiping together, praying together, fellowshipping together, just like all getting. Those are ways to get to know, and that's even the fellowship. Maybe think about it. Even important aside from music, get to know, because you'd be surprised. You have people with one gift, and then you find out they have other gifts.
5 other gifts.
Other ones, and it's like, oh, that's awesome. Let's use those gifts as well. However the Lord sees fit to use them, but it's like you didn't even know that. Oh, that person does this or can do this, and those are ways to discover. That you won't always find out in a rehearsal when I'm focusing on songs.
Yeah.
I might not have the time to be able to have a conversation. And,
Yeah. I mean, she's saying all the things. She's just saying all the things.
That's why I want you to
great.
go first.
No. I like that you're saying all the things. Then it prompts me for other things. This is random, but it's not really random. And I think we should do this for another segment. I don't know. But it made me think of when knowing your team, we should do a segment on I don't know if I would call it studying or not. It's not even practicing. It's like, I don't know what we would name it. So you guys won't find out until we actually find a name for it. But just trying to get better at your own craft so that you actually know where your team is at. Maybe you're a person who's over a team and you don't know all the things. And not that you have to know every little thing, but the better you get, the easier it will be to assess your team. Maybe you don't know anything about drums, so you don't know where your drummer's at because you don't know anything about it. But if you would just, maybe delegate a little bit of time to, again, you don't need to become a drummer, but just a little bit of research on drums, then it will help you assess where your team is at. Because I think that happens all the time. You have leaders who are not necessarily, they're not Laren, who plays everything. Like, so Laren just knows. Doesn't matter what instrument you come on the stage playing. I play the triangle. She'll be like, well, actually, you're supposed to tilt it a little bit, and just once you ding it, just bring your hand back. I was like, what? But maybe you're not that person who can do it all, and that doesn't need to be the case in every church. I know a lot of people who maybe don't play anything. They're just a singer and they lead a whole team. But they make sure that they educate themselves on these different things so that you can assess your team and then you can know how to help them get better. So anyways, that was a random thought.
I actually did that. Like, that's why I play so many instruments, because I wanted to be able to effectively communicate to musicians. So I took lessons on other stuff.
Yeah.
So I could learn it enough, not
That's what I'm saying. Not like
learn it enough that I could have conversations and communicate and ask questions and not sound like an idiot when I talk to a drummer and go
That's what I'm no, but that's serious. I'm doing that right now. Let's use a real life application. I want to know drums better so that I can not. I mean, I'm not terrible. I don't do that. Okay, I know enough. I know a decent amount now, but I want to be now. Anyways, I'm a little different.